Hi, so this is my Learning Analysis Journal 3, focusing specifically on motivation and looking at how students respond to that. So for part one, the experience section, I just wanted to talk about, I have two students that I help on a daily basis. The first of those is a student named Alex. Alex is he has high functioning autism, as well as he's diabetic, and so because he is diabetes, he has to have somebody one-on-one support with him at all times of the day. For Alex, this creates kind of a power struggle because he doesn't like being supervised. He doesn't enjoy having somebody constantly over his shoulder, which is something that he and I have worked out with. I try to give him as much space as I possibly can. Sometimes I can do that. Sometimes I can't do that. One of the things with Alex is that he definitely knows how to manipulate those around him, at least his authority figures, and so basically because he knows that we can't really force him to do anything, that he'll have moments where he'll just power struggle and trying to get him to do assignments when he doesn't want to do assignments. He thinks that he knows everything, and he's used those exact words before, that he doesn't need to learn anything here because he can just learn whatever he needs on the internet. Teachers aren't effective, even though he definitely shows moments where he needs guidance and he needs help and he needs that push and motivation to get him going. There are a couple other things with Alex. I think that Alex is very depressed. I know that he struggles with having social interactions, and he doesn't have a ton of friends, and there's a couple of reasons for this. Alex doesn't take care of himself. As somebody that's diabetic, he is overweight, and I would say he borders on obesity, and I think that for him, that makes it hard for him to approach and really get to start like actually wanting to have interactions with people, because I think he thinks that he's going to get shut down right away. And I think that this has progressed to a point where he definitely then he shuts people out. So anytime people want to come and talk to him about things, at that point, well, then he doesn't care, he doesn't listen. He will shut down their opinions immediately, and so this kind of creates a catch-22 effect. He can't practice social interactions because he doesn't have good experiences with them, but then he doesn't have good experiences with them because he doesn't ever get a chance to practice them, right? A couple other things with that, I do think that, again, this is just a face value type thing, or surface value thing. I think that he struggles with his sexual identity, in terms of his orientation, I should say, and that manifests as him sort of shutting down, or like the idea that somebody might be homosexual in a way then causes him to really shun those ideas and just the openness of it. And to one point, we had a conversation where he was like, "Gay people are genetic freaks," and that was we had a kind of an in-depth discussion for about 15 minutes about why it's not okay to think this way, how thinking that way and being exclusionary like that really doesn't serve to help anything or make any situation better, whether it be his opinions, other people's opinions, and again with this whole social standing. That same kind of thinking then also goes to how he feels about people that are in special ed. If somebody is developmentally retarded in some way, he sees them as just basically a burden on society, and that there's nothing good to come from giving people with disabilities an education. And again, having to take this conversation and then steering that towards, well, you have an IEP because you have autism, and really getting to realize that just because somebody is neurologically diverse doesn't make them stupid or a burden or a waste of time or a waste of space, any kind of thing like that. My second student I want to talk about, his name is Michael Sisk, and Michael is a wonderful student. He really is, but he struggles with just his own sort of self-esteem and self-efficacy, and really doesn't know how to. He's afraid of people. That is his biggest thing. He can handle adults. He can handle like one-on-one situations. But if you get him in a group of students, he shuts down. If you're walking to class and the bell rings and it's passing time, he will walk right back to his homeroom and stay there until passing time is done. And so this creates sort of, he doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't believe that he's capable of making friends. And through that, then his self-worth is turned into, well, he can't write anything. He can't do his assignments and make them worthwhile, because anything creative is just, it puts him out of his comfort zone in terms of his intellectual capabilities. So that's the experience part of it, and then to sort of uh, fill you in on where I want this journal analysis to go, is that these two students, Alex and Michael, share an adapted FIAD class together. It's just the two of them in that, and so that creates a situation where, for the teacher, the FIAD teacher and myself, we just separate the two of them. Alex just walks around the loops in our building, because that's how our building is set up. It's just a loop, so his FIAD time for half hour is him just walking in circles. And then for Michael, he's the only one, he gets all the attention from the FIAD teacher, because Alex, A, doesn't want the attention from the FIAD teacher, and then B, just doesn't really want attention from anybody. So it kind of works out in that situation. So moving on to step 2, the processing section of this. Looking at sort of the broader concepts again, talking about self-efficacy, self-worth, and being able to self-regulate. Alex can self-regulate for the most part. It really gets into those like power struggles, those situations where he doesn't want to, where he doesn't really want to be doing his work, you know, and he gets into this mindset of, well, I don't need to do this, I already know this stuff, or like, why is this even important? Like, this doesn't help better who I am, even though you try and teach him these things as, you know, like for instance, I help him out in biology, and he doesn't understand the process of knowing why enzymes work, or what's the point of learning cell structures in an attempt to like better get to know him, that sort of stuff. Michael also then deals with this idea of self-worth, and I think part of this comes from their lack of social exposure and social experience. And then with kind of in this FIAD class then too, I wonder if there's this fine balance of trying to get Michael to get his physical education requirements done, but also in the sense that there's this kind of tie of physical education to being part of like a sports team, or being part of like, you know, this like all-American kind of mentality that everybody has to play football if you were a boy in high school, and or play hockey, or some sort of team sport. And I think that drives a lot of the insecurity in Michael for him to do these kinds of things. So what I've noticed then here, and as we kind of get into it, is that Michael and Alex, they don't ever talk, and they have these situations, these social situations, where they don't really get to talk to other people. And again, over the course of, I would say, the last 2.5 months at this point, because we're already in November, looking at where they've kind of come socially, where they've kind of come academically, and how this has sort of helped with their mindset about these things. So building motivation in these two students is tough, because they don't want to do anything, because they put up these barriers, right? And in doing so we've really sort of looking at Wolf Walk and sort of looking at goal setting and expectations in order to provide, once you get to class, right, you know what's expected of you, what you're trying to get out of class at this point. For Alex, it started off as he would walk the loops in the circle, and then in a half hour he would walk 8 loops, and that's not even a mile in a half hour, and that's not, I mean, for anybody that's sort of athletically inclined, that's nothing. For anybody that's not athletically inclined, that's still not that much, especially as Alex is capable of walking for a half hour. For Michael, it's like even getting him to start execution of doing these types of things, and getting to talk and opening up to people that he doesn't know. And what's been really cool is that I've seen, as of just this last week, we found, but the FIAD teacher and myself found that badminton, being able to play badminton, just the two of them, has been this way to not only get them moving, but now they're actually playing together. And well, as a special ed pair, that's extremely rewarding, and it's crazy just kind of to think about the progress that's being made between the two of them there, especially knowing that Alex doesn't like people that have an IEP, even though he has one himself, and then for Michael to make jokes with another student when he rarely talks to anybody at all. And so we're finding as we get these expectations, and we're finding this like common ground to get these kids motivated to do something. Again, yeah, super rewarding. Super kind of like you really start to see this like self-regulation of he actually wants to play. Alex at one point wanted to play 3-on-1 badminton, where it was the FIAD teacher, myself, and Michael on one side and him on the other, and playing. And this turned into, as we allowed him to do this, you get Alex, he would honestly he'd start talking smack to all three of us, because he would think that he was just having so much fun. And this is the first time we've really seen him open up and wanting to do like group participation and working on that. And when you work at these relationships and you work at building this motivation, and you work at this self-regulation, it opens up this whole new world of social experience and social ability to, agency and advocacy, and having Alex take care of himself, and allowing me now as this teacher or as a special ed paraprofessional that has to look over his shoulder. Well, I can now walk away. I can sit in the back of the room and let Alex do his thing, and Alex take his sheets of paper or his worksheets or whatever his assignments are and do those. For Michael, I've seen him now start talking to Alex like during lunch. So outside of this FIAD class, now he'll just come up and he'll ask how Alex is, and Alex will respond with, "I'm good, how are you?" It's not just, "I'm fine," or it's not just, or some nonverbal answer. It's just, body language that's shut off to even encouraging something else like that. And then outside of that too, so I support Michael in the last hour of the day, which is a language arts class. It's a traditional classroom. So he's in there. I'm one-on-one support with him. I do support 3 other students in that class. And what I've been able to do is, with Michael being afraid of people, and especially we do a lot of like peer editing in this language arts classroom. Now, I've seen Michael actually advocate for himself to go and join one of these other students that I support, and I think it helps that I'm there, right? Just because I'm able to facilitate this social experience, right? I'm really looking at, we talked about social cognitive learning tonight, and being able to build that all together and have this like, well, it's okay to make jokes, and it's okay to goof off in class, even though you shouldn't be, but I advocate for those moments, because watching these kids have build these social experiences with each other, and build these social skills for conversing, and being critical of each other, and being able to make fun of each other and realize that it's not serious. That's what we're here to do, right? I mean, there's a lot of knowledge that comes from the books and all the book work, all the textbooks, all that sort of stuff. But as we've read in Woolfolk, being able to have these social experience helps you learn that much more, right? We look at Vygotsky and this social. I've forgotten. I apologize, but it's these social experiences that help learning, right? Being able to do that, and being able to feel comfortable, and being able to feel like you have somebody in your classroom that's on your side, and then realizing that you have more than just one person on your side, you have a whole group of people on your side, makes you want to go to class, and makes you want to be in the classroom, and makes you enjoy the assignments that can be collaborative at that point. And if you have questions of your own, it makes you want to be able to advocate for yourself to the teacher, because you're not afraid to talk to somebody that's new to you at this point. And that kind of leads me then into section 4 here, the practical application. And that's taking this a step further, right? So what we can, as teachers, can take what's been successful with Alex and take what's successful with Michael and build upon that and apply that to other students in this situation, or in these situations that need this kind of help. And it gives you a better mind as a facilitator, what's effective and what isn't effective. Obviously, every student is a case-by-case basis, but being able to go ahead and at least take a little bit of that, and realizing that, yeah, you are working towards something that benefits another student, and you are working towards something that has actual quantifiable and qualifiable progress in these things. Alex is doing homework now because he's not necessarily struggling with somebody that he thinks doesn't care about him and just trying to get a grade. Right? Michael is the same way too. Michael's open up. He'll tell jokes again. It's this whole back and forth of students and watching these students now, my next step, hopefully, right, is to have Michael and Alex start branching out to other students more than they already have. Michael more than he is, Alex specifically more than just Michael. And being able to realize it's okay to talk to people, and no, not everybody's always going to agree with what you say, and no, you can't. Some things you got to keep to yourself, right? And then you maybe realize that things you're keeping to yourself aren't thoughts you should be having to begin with. And yeah, I think that this allows them to become role models, and I don't think that they would ever see themselves in that light or that capacity, but once that happens too, that builds up then your self-efficacy, that builds up your self-worth, and that builds up your self-esteem to make you into a student that is, you know, turning into a well-rounded individual, with somebody that's, you know, capable of using the education that they've learned and the behaviors that they've learned, and I don't want to say correcting these behaviors, because I mean, I do think that that's part of it, but really it's more so building these characteristics and building these traits that are important to having a strong classroom. Thanks.